So what am I going to be making today? I'm going to be making smoked Korean pulled pork sandwiches with kimchi coleslaw. Yes, smoked Korean pulled pork sandwiches. That's what I'm making. And it's not actually today, it's gonna be tomorrow because we're gonna be rubbing a 10-pound pork butt with a spicy Korean marinade. And it's gonna sit in the refrigerator overnight. So let's get the marinade ready. We're starting off with a 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed orange juice. To this, I'm gonna be adding a small pear that's been grated, and this includes the juice. I used a red pear for this, but you can use any pear. If you can get an Asian pear, go for it, that's traditional. I'm also adding 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, a tablespoon of sesame oil. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of ground black pepper, a teaspoon of minced garlic, a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a tablespoon of minced ginger, a tablespoon of fresh orange zest, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm just gonna mix this up. Start slow so it doesn't slosh out of the bowl. And now to finish this off, I'm gonna add about 2 teaspoons of K-pop sauce from K-pop Foods. This is sort of a spicy sauce, but it's not their spiciest sauce, let me tell you. They have a much hotter one. And we're just gonna mix that in now. Time to rub that pork butt. All right, so here is our 10-pound pork butt, bone in. I'm just gonna start putting this marinade on and gently rubbing it. Let me turn this over and get the fat side too. All right, this is rubbed up. It's gonna go in a container in the refrigerator overnight, and I'll see you back here tomorrow when we take this out to the Weber Kettle and smoke it up. All right. Our pork butt has been covered in that Korean marinade overnight. So we've had a good 16 hours for those flavors to kind of get in there, penetrate a little bit, and give us a nice surface for the rub we're gonna add. Now you can use your favorite rub for this stage. I'm using a Wise rub. I used it in a video before. I don't know who makes it. It's just called Wise rub. My sister-in-law gave it to me. Someone she knows makes it, and I like it, so I'm gonna use that on this. It's got a nice little hint of sweetness in it, which I think is gonna complement these Korean flavors. I'm just gonna start getting a nice coating on here. Now I could wipe the excess, the little pieces of ginger and garlic that are on there, but I don't want to. We're gonna leave those on there. We're not gonna be searing this, so those shouldn't be a problem. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and get this out to the Weber Kettle. All right, I don't know if you can see through the plastic that's covering my ThermoWorks smoke, but the kettle temperature's at 237. I have alarms set for 325 and 225. My goal here today is to get this right in the 250 to 275 range and try and hold it there. If it races up a bit, that's all right. If it drops a bit, that's all right. I'm just shooting for that range. So I have the Weber Kettle set up with slow and sear. I have a drip pan in there to catch, the drippings from the pork butt. Try to make the cleanup a little bit easier. Have my ambient temperature probe in here. Let's go ahead and get this pork butt on. I'm gonna go ahead and place my internal temperature probe here. Reading 37 degrees. This just came out of the refrigerator. I'm gonna get a piece of hickory wood on here. Start to generate a little bit of smoke. All right, our hickory's starting to catch. Let's go ahead and get our lid on and start smoking. For my upper vent today, I'm gonna be setting it at about half open. And my bottom vent, I'm gonna set in the 2/3 open position. I'll adjust those vents as I need to get close to my target temperature and stay there, and hope that the rain doesn't come. That way I can take this ThermoWorks smoke out of the plastic bag. So the ultimate internal temperature we're going for today is gonna be somewhere around 200 degrees. It's whenever that is tender, and that'll be probe tender. Usually that's somewhere in the 200 degree range. But when we hit 160 degrees, which is usually right around where the stall happens in pork butts this size, we're gonna be transferring it to a foil pan, putting a little bit of liquid in there, wrapping it tight with foil, putting it back on until we reach that ultimate internal temperature. But right now, let's head inside because we've got to make our sauce for later and our kimchi coleslaw. All right, we're gonna make our barbecue sauce now that's gonna go on the pork after we pull it to create that nice sort of barbecue pulled pork flavor, this time with a little bit of a Korean kick to it. So what I've got here is a 1.5 cups of a very neutral barbecue sauce. This is just a Heinz barbecue sauce. You can choose any kind you want. I'm just starting with something neutral because we're gonna be adding a lot of flavor to this. First, we're gonna add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, a teaspoon of granulated garlic, a teaspoon of ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. We're gonna put about 3 teaspoons of the K-pop sauce that I used in the marinade. 1, 2, 3. And remember, that's not their hottest sauce. This is sort of the mild hot sauce. Our final ingredient is a 15-ounce can of sliced pears that was pureed with 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. That's juice and everything from the can. Pour that in there. Probably should have used a bigger bowl. I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this together. You're looking at this thinking, oh my, what is he thinking? Trust me. Lost a little there, might as well take a taste. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's nice. I'm gonna transfer this to a bigger bowl, just a second. There we go, crisis averted. Get this mixed up. All right, so I want to take a taste now and see if I need to adjust anything in this. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. I'm going to go ahead and put a lid on this, put it in the refrigerator. We're going to move on to making our kimchi coleslaw. So for this kimchi coleslaw, I'm basically using my base coleslaw recipe with a few tweaks, my wife's recipe actually. So we're going to start with making the dressing that's going to be on this kimchi coleslaw. We're going to start with 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon of agave syrup. If you don't have agave, you could use honey. We're going to go with 2 tablespoons of K-pop kimchi mayo. We're going to use a tablespoon of the K-pop sauce, the same barbecue sauce that we've been using all along. We're going to put a teaspoon of kimchi juice in. This is juice from the jar that holds the kimchi. I'm going to put about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. We're going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper. Good little shake of some sesame seeds. I don't know, that might be 1/2 teaspoon. We're going to go ahead and mix this up. So we're getting that nice hit of vinegar off this already. This is more of a vinegar-based coleslaw. Go ahead and check it for taste. Oh, I like that. Well, that's good. Okay, let's go ahead and get the rest of our ingredients in here. We're going to put in a 16-ounce package of pre-made coleslaw mix. You know, all the cabbage that's cut up and everything. Get all the guys that escaped, throw them back in. And before I add the rest of our ingredients, I want to go ahead and mix this up a bit. I want to get that dressing on all these pieces of cabbage here. Now we're going to add about a 1/2 cup of kimchi that I roughly chopped up so it's not in big long pieces. And we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of chopped scallions. I'm going to mix this all in here. Let's go ahead and get a little taste, see how we're doing. Ooh, that is good. It has just enough of that kimchi flavor, a little bit of heat. I like this. This is going to be a perfect topping on these Korean pulled pork sandwiches. All right, this is going to go ahead, get covered, go in the refrigerator. Bring you back when it's time to check that pulled pork out on the Weber Kettle. All right, we've been going for about an hour and a half here. Just want to give this a look and see how we're doing. That is looking really good. Our internal temperature right now is just about 60 degrees. Big hunk of meat. It was cold in my refrigerator, so it's going to take a while to get up to that 160 when we wrap it, but it is sure looking good. Nice bark starting to form there. I've got a lot of moisture in the air still from this rain. I've got water in the water trough of the slow and sear, so I'm not going to be spritzing this right now. I do want to get some more hickory on here right now. All right, our hickory is catching. Let's go ahead and get our lid back on and keep smoking. I'll see you back here when we get close to 160 degrees internal. All right, we're about 3.5 hours in here. Internal temperature is about 128. I want to check this, and I think I am going to spritz it. We'll see, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, that is looking nice. I'm going to spritz this with a 50-50 mix of water and apple juice. Definitely have a beautiful bark on there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the lid back on here. Let it keep going until we get to 160. All right, we are at 154 degrees internal, and it's been there for a degree for about half an hour, so it's stalled. So instead of waiting for 160, you're going to go ahead and do this now. We're going to take it out, get it in a foil pan, seal it up, and get it back on. That's a mighty fine looking pork butt. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get this off here and get it into our foil pan. For liquid in our foil pan, I'm just going to use the mixture I was used for spritzing, that 50-50 apple juice water mixture. Just going to get a little bit down on the bottom, just spray a little bit on top. We've got a beautiful bark that's developed here. We'll go ahead and get this back on the kettle. I'm not going to be putting any temperature probe in this at this point. Probably be checking it anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half. All right, it's been about an hour and a half here. I went ahead and threw a second piece of foil on because I forgot to double wrap it, and that's what I wanted to do. But we're starting to lose light here, and I want to check and see how close we are, how tender, how close we are to that 200-degree target. If we're not close, I'm going to throw the internal probe in it so I can keep track from inside. Let's see if I can pull this front part up here. All right. Ooh, smelling good there. All right, so let's see how we're doing. Let me get deep down in there. We're probing fairly tender on the outside, but we still have a ways to go inside. We're at about 180 on the Thermapen. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the internal temperature probe in here so I can watch from inside and not have to just keep coming out and opening it up. Got to arrange this so I can get the foil over it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get the lid back on. We'll monitor it from inside, and I'll bring it back when it's close to being done. All right, we are at 200 degrees internal, and I'm going to check this for temperature. The light is gone. I'm under flickering fluorescent light, so let's see how we're doing. Open this up and check for tenderness. Let's see. Ah, there we go. That's looking good. We're going to go ahead and get this in. It's going to rest for about 20 minutes, and then we'll start making our pulled pork. All right, here is our pork butt. It's looking really good. It smells really good. Nice bark on it, as you can see. Let's just see how we're doing here with this bone, if this is going to come out easily. Yeah. All right, so there's our bone. Bone comes out easily. And I'm just going to start breaking this down. It's nice and tender. Any of the big pieces of fat, I'll just take off, put those aside. Want a little bit of fat, but we don't want those big slabs of fat that were on the one side. I did this fat side down today in the kettle. I'm going to finish breaking this down. I'll bring you back when it's time to sauce it. All right, here is our pulled pork, and I'm just going to start adding our Korean barbecue sauce to it. Now, if you're Korean or you know Korean food, I know you're probably saying, that's not Korean, it's inspired. I love Korean food. Trying to use those flavors that I have available here. So I'm going to get in here and start mixing this up. Get that sauce distributed over all this pulled pork. I'm smelling it. This is good. All right, it's time to build our Korean pulled pork sandwich. All right, I have a nice toasted ciabatta roll that I'm going to be using for my sandwich today. I'm going to start building a nice bit of pulled pork on here. Got to say, this pork butt developed really good bark. I was very pleased with that bark. I want to put a little bit of barbecue sauce directly on here. And then some of our Kimchi Coleslaw. There it is. Korean pulled pork sandwich with Kimchi Coleslaw. This looks amazing. It's time to taste. All right, here it is. I cut it in half so it'd be a little easier to bite. I've been looking forward to this all day. So here we go. The mixture of flavors here between the pulled pork and the kimchi really is on point. I gotta say, doing the Korean flavors on the pulled pork and then in the kimchi coleslaw and the barbecue sauce, everything just melds together. It's not like you're mixing, you know, Southern style pulled pork with an Asian inspired sauce. Everything sort of works together because we had those similar things working throughout that K-pop sauce, the K-pop mayo, the pears in the marinade and the pears in the barbecue sauce. Everything just works really well in this. Now the total cook time on this today, I calculated it, it was actually about 8 hours. This pork butt took a little longer than what I would normally expect at that temperature. The temperature ranged right around 275 most of the time, but every piece of meat is different. The conditions weren't great today. It was cold, it was a little bit windy, very damp, but I gotta tell you, it turned out fantastic. So yes, you can get creative with pulled pork. You can do different seasonings, different flavor profiles. So if you've got a flavor profile you like, try it on pulled pork. I'll bet you will love it. Oh yeah.